Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
The clock had just struck midnight when I woke to the sound of water running in the ensuite bathroom. At first, I thought nothing of it. Lucas often drank from the tap during the night. But something was off. The water stopped, but he didn't return. I turned my head slowly, straining to hear. Then it came, his voice. Low. Urgent, whispering. No, not yet. She's asleep. I made sure of it, he said, followed by a long pause. We'll move it before the 15th. Just make sure Tertinia Lurko gets her cut. And tell her. Darcy knows nothing. She mustn't know. My breath froze. I lay rigid, heart thudding beneath the sheets. Tertinia? Who the hell was Tertinia? There was another pause, then the whisper returned, even softer. Yes, I'll act normal. Just a little longer. The call ended. I heard the faint shuffle of a towel, the click of the tap again, then the doorknob turning. I closed my eyes in an instant and rolled slightly onto my side, feigning the deep breathing of sleep. Lucas crept back into the room like a thief, the mattress shifting as he climbed in beside me. His skin was cold. He exhaled a sigh, long and shaky, before inching closer. I kept my breath steady. He touched my waist gently, almost regretfully. You don't deserve this, he murmured. The words pierced deeper than any knife. What didn't I deserve, Lucas? The lies? The betrayal? Or the plan you just whispered about like I was some idiot house cat? The rest of the night crawled. I barely blinked, letting him believe I was sound asleep. But inside me, something cracked, some final thread of the quiet, blissful ignorance I clung to for years. At 2:37 a.m., I slipped out of bed, walked barefoot to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water. My hand trembled around the rim. Tertinia, a transfer, a secret. I stared out the window, the night wind stirring the trees like warning fingers. He was planning something. Something that didn't include me. The morning sunlight poured through the blinds like nothing had changed, but everything had. Lucas stood at the stove making his famous cinnamon oats, humming like the perfect husband. His rhythm didn't falter once. Not even when I said, I had a weird dream last night about you whispering in the bathroom. He laughed softly. I probably talked in my sleep again. You always say I do. Not like that, you don't. After breakfast, he kissed my temple. I got a few calls at the office. Be home around 4. Drive safe, I murmured. The second the front door closed, I locked myself in the study and opened my laptop. My fingers hovered above the keyboard longer than I expected. Part of me still hoped I'd find nothing, that the fear clawing at my gut was just paranoia. But the numbers don't lie. Within minutes, I was staring at it. 3 withdrawals in 10 days from our shared investment account, each over $200,000, funneled into unfamiliar company names. The one that made me swallow hard was the third, TL and Partners. Initials. I clicked deeper. The trail was clumsy, rushed, like someone trying to cover their tracks without really knowing how. A 4th transaction had been scheduled for next week. My pulse thudded in my ears. By noon, Lucas was back, unannounced. Forgot my tablet, he said, breezing in like a spring gust. What are you up to? I quickly closed the browser, just cleaning out my inbox. He nodded absently, grabbing the tablet from the kitchen counter. But then his gaze flicked to the screen behind me. I caught it. What were you really doing? He asked, half smiling. I tilted my head. Why do you sound nervous? He blinked. I don't. You do. I folded my arms, tone light but sharp. You weren't moving money out of the investment account without telling me, were you? He gave a soft chuckle, rubbing his neck. That. Yeah, I meant to explain. It's just some restructuring. Safer holdings. That whole Ukraine banking shakeup has investors spooked. I nodded slowly. Right. Precautionary measures. He leaned down and kissed my cheek again. Exactly. Nothing to worry about. But this time, I didn't smile. I waited until the door closed again, then reopened the account history. Precautionary measures. Then why were all the transfers directed to shell companies in Panama? Something was unfolding behind my back, and Lucas wanted me to stay sweet and silent. But he'd married the wrong woman for that. It was just past 5 in the afternoon when Lucas left for a conference call at the golf club. I didn't ask questions. I simply smiled and waved from the porch like the dutiful wife he clearly thought I still was. But the moment his car disappeared down the drive, I sprinted back inside like a woman possessed. His phone. I had seen him leave it charging in the upstairs study. He never forgot his phone. Never. That alone told me he was getting careless. I snatched it up. Locked. Of course. But Lucas wasn't clever enough to use anything but birthdays and PIN codes from our life together. On the third try, my father's birthday, it opened. What I saw nearly dropped the phone from my hand. Dozens of deleted messages, or so he thought. The cloud backup hadn't synced yet, and the fragments still lingered. I used a simple app my best friend Dylan once showed me, in case of emergencies, he'd said, and recovered the deleted threads. One name kept flashing. Tertinia Lurko. She sent a photo of herself, her face turned away, holding a document folder labeled DL Holdings. Below it, she's clueless. Don't lose your nerve now. Another message from Lucas. Darcy knows and guesses nothing. The account will be drained by the 12th. She won't even blink until it's gone. I sat down slowly, the room blurring. My husband. My Lucas. Plotting to empty everything. And this Tertinia, who was she? Not just a mistress. This felt colder. Strategic. An image loaded, grainy surveillance of me walking into my favorite cafe. The caption read, "We're tracking her time. No deviations. She's still in routine mode." My hands shook. They were watching me, timing me, studying me like a lab rat. A text pinged in real time. I froze. "Tertinia, tell your wife whatever lie you planned, as long as I get my half." The phone slipped from my grip and clattered onto the desk. I was being stolen from, betrayed, monitored, and the worst part? They thought I was too blind to see it coming. I heard the garage door open. Lucas, back early. I shoved the phone back in place and bolted from the room, steadying my breath. Downstairs, I met him with a smile. He frowned. "Why are you out of breath?" "Oh," I said sweetly. "I was just running up from the cellar. I thought I heard a leak." He nodded, distracted. "Listen, I've been thinking. With all this market instability, we should probably consolidate everything. Our assets, joint accounts, just to be safe." A jolt of rage twisted inside me, but I kept my face porcelain smooth. "That makes sense," I said softly. "Whatever you think is best." He smiled and kissed my forehead. "You've always trusted me. I'm lucky." I smiled back. "Yes, Lucas, you are." I didn't sleep that night. I lay beside Lucas, listening to the steady rhythm of his breath, wondering how long he'd been plotting while I cooked his meals and kissed his lies. By morning, I had a plan. I contacted my lawyer and best friend Dylan. At 9 a.m. sharp, I walked into Dylan's office. He rose from his leather chair, surprised. "Darcy, you look like you've seen a ghost." "Close," I said, sinking into the seat across from him. "I've seen Tertinia Lurko." His brows shot up. "What?" I handed him the printed text. He read in silence, his jaw tightening with every line. "This isn't just adultery," I whispered. "He's stealing. From me. Everything. By the 12th. Dylan stood, pacing. "We need to move fast. Everything in your name. Liquid, property, shares must be protected before he files anything." "Then let's do it," I said, the words cold in my mouth. "I want every cent, every thread of my life, off the table before he can touch it." Within hours, Dylan created an ironclad trust. My $579 million, every account, bond, and estate, transferred to my sole control, held under legal shelter. Lucas couldn't see it, couldn't reach it. By late afternoon, the paperwork was signed, stamped, and sealed. I stood outside Dylan's office, watching the city below, my fingers trembling as they gripped the folder. I wasn't just preparing for a divorce. I was preparing for war. Lucas stood at the edge of the kitchen island, eyes fixed on the marble countertop as if it might crack under the weight of his words. "I want a divorce," he said flatly. I didn't flinch. I stirred my tea, slow and steady. "Oh," I looked up, my voice almost bored. "What a coincidence. I was wondering when you finally say it." He blinked, thrown off. "I thought this would be harder." "It would have been," I said, "if I hadn't already moved all my assets into a private trust 2 days ago." The blood drained from his face. "What?" I stood, walked to the drawer, and slid out a file. "Everything. The money, the real estate, the offshore accounts you forgot I knew about. Gone from your reach, legally untouchable. You're bluffing. His voice cracked. You're not that smart. No, I said, eyes cold. I'm smarter than you thought. You underestimated me, Lucas. That was your first mistake. He paced, furious now. This isn't over. I'll find a way. No, you won't, I interrupted. Because I also hired a forensic accountant. Every transfer you made to Tertinia's ghost account. Traced. Documented. And if you challenge me, those documents go straight to the authorities. He stared at me, cornered. For the first time, truly defeated. Why? He whispered. We could have had it all. I walked to the door and opened it wide. We did have it all. And you tried to steal it. He didn't move. I'm keeping the house, I added. You can leave your key on the table. He swallowed hard, then reached into his pocket, hesitated, and slowly laid the key down. As the door clicked shut behind him, I stood in the silence of my own victory. No applause, no music, just a strange, beautiful stillness. Checkmate.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.